Mike
Walsh. Back for another Modern Era Fitness. Thanks for listening in,
Yeah, thanks a lot.
for downloading us.
This is really hard now that we have a few episodes out. Like, the pressure is on.
Today we figured we'd talk about stress because everybody's got it. I know I get it from
Whether
time to
you
time.
know it or not.
Yeah. And it affects people quite a bit in ways you probably aren't aware of. So we want to make sure that we're handling it well.
Yes. Handling it well.
Just like we are with this podcast. We're handling this very well.
Yeah, we're seasoned at doing this. We do it all the time now, so we know what we're doing.
Not a lot of long pauses.
No ums or uhs.
Moving on.
All right.
If you guys want to ask us any questions, feel free to contact us. You can reach us at Twitter, on Twitter. You did that one time.
I did do that. On Twitter.
Twitter.
MEF
at
Podcast.
MEF Podcast. Instagram is also at MEF Podcast. You can email us at modernerafitnesspodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook. I think we have a Google Plus, but really who uses that?
Yeah, that's
except
not
for Google.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. No.
Is that right?
AI Deep Learning.
What's AI Deep Learning?
It's the AI Deep Learning program.
Ah, yes.
They're trying to make the end of the world by having an artificially intelligent algorithm computer thing learn like a kid learns.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like
and
exponentially?
And it's actually working. So this may be our last episode, everyone. It was good knowing you.
Yep. Thanks for the thrills.
Hug the ones you love.
Good night. So today we're talking about stress and the effects it can have on your health. Ooh.
So, Mike, to get things started, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
When you're working with your clients, how big of a role do you see stress playing in your clients' progress?
That makes sense.
Did I word that right?
I think so. I understand what you're saying. Like, how big of a factor is stress in the progress?
Thank you. Yes.
It's really huge, and honestly it's the unseen, beneath the water part of the iceberg that nobody pays attention to. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And it can really have a huge effect on how your nutrition affects you and how your training affects you.
Okay. Like how?
So if you're really stressed all the time and you got your nutrition spot on and your training is spot on and you're doing everything the right way, but you're just super stressed out, you're gonna have a hard time seeing results. Because when you get stressed, you produce what's called cortisol, or the stress hormone.
Mm-hmm.
And that essentially, it's like trying to make progress being tied to, 100-pound weight. And you got to drag this thing around.
Wasn't that how you get fitter?
Yeah.
I think that's
a bad analogy.
That's what CrossFit uses, I think.
So being stressed all the time, you start producing cortisol. And cortisol...
I know you're right about cortisol. It's the main stress hormone. And it's the biggest contributor to belly fat.
Yes.
And it also prevents you from sleeping well. And sleep is a big part of being able to stay focused and work well and operate and burn calories.
So it slows everything down, and it's harder to bounce back from training. And your body treats nutrition differently when your cortisol levels are high.
Okay.
And that's it.
Sweet.
You've been listening. So what about you?
Well, I wanna ask you more about that though.
Okay.
What do you tell your clients to do? I mean, you can't just say, "Hey,
don't be stressed."
Yeah, don't stress out so much.
Knock it off, bro.
It's like telling your significant other to calm down when they're upset.
Relax.
Yeah. Hey.
That has never worked in the history of mankind.
No.
It usually has the opposite effect.
Yes.
You tell anybody to relax when something is elevated, that's going to have the opposite effect.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't. Especially if you're living with that person.
Yeah.
And you want to continue living with that person. So seriously, what do you tell them?
I tell them that being stressed has a very big effect on the results of your training and how your body treats your nutrition, the incoming nutrition.
But how do you tell them to cope, or what tools do you provide them, or do you, as adults? I mean, because you're not really in the business of maintaining their stress,
Right.
outside of here.
Right.
So, I mean, do
There-
you
there's
just kind
a-
of leave it up to them as adults to get a handle on things, or
Yeah, I asked them how they're coping with stress and what kind of tools they've been using, and bringing up the fact that hey, there are tools that
So
you
you-
can use.
you kind of point out this is going to keep you from making progress?
Yeah, this is going to keep you from making progress, and there's tools out there. Here's some tools that I like to use, like meditating, or honestly, exercise is a great tool in and of itself for managing stress.
Yeah.
So I asked them if they, let's say they have a really stressful job, which some of my clients do,
Mm-hmm.
or anybody does. You know, it's part of life. Some jobs are stressful.
So, like, if, say, I am Ben Stiller and along came Polly,
Oh my gosh. Ugh.
his job is just about analyzing risk and calculating risk of
Yeah.
certain activities and things like that.
Uh-huh.
So he's always thinking about the worst case scenario. And I can't imagine. I mean, have you seen the movie?
I have stressful.
He's pretty high strung
Little bit.
until the beautiful Rachel, or Polly, I guess in this case,
Yeah.
comes in. She comes along
Yeah, I get it.
the way and turns his life upside down.
Yeah.
Just what he needed. So say I'm that guy.
What would I tell you?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I would say don't worry about it because you're an actor. You're making a movie. This job isn't real, man.
And Jennifer Aniston is opposite you.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah. And Ben Stiller, he's pretty ripped. He's pretty shredded.
Sometimes.
Not all the time. I can tell.
I don't know, man.
He is.
I feel like it depends on the movie.
I think him as an actor, he's pretty in shape.
Like his acting skills?
No, his body. What a rockin' body. Ben Stiller's got it.
And this has been your actor body review
Yeah.
with Mike Walsh.
Ben Stiller, 10.
Okay, but that's good. So you don't leave your clients high and dry necessarily, but
No way.
but they do have to take responsibility.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah. And there's a fine line there, being a personal trainer and helping people deal with their own stuff.
Mm.
And it can get pretty dicey pretty quick. So just pointing out the fact that, hey, stress is going to have a major impact on how you see results.
Mm.
So here's some tools. Here's some things you can do. And it's going to be a common theme that we're going to keep revisiting, like, how's your training? What kind of cardio are you getting in? How's your nutrition? You know, how many carbs of proteins, fats, and carbs are you getting?
And when was the last time you visited the coast?
And when's the last time you visited the coast? And what are you doing to manage your stress?
Yeah.
You know, those are all kinds of things that really affect how your journey is going to go.
Yeah. How big of if you were to take a full pie, one that was a healthy pie, and cut it into quarters and say 1/4 is nutrition, 1 is fitness.
So
Okay, let's turn it.
So I know what you're saying. Like you're going to say, like, let's have a percentage pie.
Yes.
And the 100% is fitness. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the whole, you're good. You're all around.
So segmenting, this is a problem that I have, is a lot of people break up fitness into segments and compartmentalize,
Yeah.
but it's not really that way. The way I view it is you have a stool that has these pillars, you know, that hold up the stool, and you have
Is that how stool works?
Yeah, you know, go to IKEA. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. World Market. I like World Market.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you have a stool that has these 3 pillars or 4 pillars, depending on what you're talking about.
Like legs?
Legs. Oh my gosh.
Because right now
Okay.
you're talking about a portico and not a stool.
Okay, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. So let's
No.
get back to the pie. Let's get back to the
Please.
pie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds nice.
Pie. So pie, and we're going to break it up, and we have our nutrition, our training, and stress. Let's say we're talking about those three things.
Okay.
So a lot of people like to say, well, training is 90% of it, and the rest is like nutrition, and stress doesn't even exist. And lately, more people have been saying, like, well, actually, it's like 30% training and 70% nutrition.
Still not thinking about stress.
Still not thinking about stress. And so now I'm trying to bring in the stress component. So saying, okay, it's, what do you say? 70% training, 15% nutrition, and 15% stress. But I'm going to look at it more like a stool that has legs.
Mm-hmm.
And with those 3 legs, and you take away one, it's just not going to work.
Right.
Like you can have great training and great nutrition, and if you're just stressed more than anything, then you're going to have a really hard time no matter what.
Yeah, I feel like it's a slice of the pie that bleeds into the other slices if you cut it wrong.
Yes.
Like the stress can invade your nutrition and your training. You know what I mean? Like it can sabotage the other 2 slices.
Yeah, because when you the hormone cortisol is rampant in the body, and I think that's a good word for it because it's definitely not useful. I mean, it's kind of a fight or flight.
Well, it's
hormone.
got uses.
It's got uses, but over long periods of time, it'll just wreck you.
Yeah.
So manage your stress. What are some tools that we could use to manage our stress?
Well, like you said, exercise. That's been a big one for me. The angle I come at it from with the martial arts and everything is always that mind, body, and breath connection. And I think your training kind of naturally brings that out in people too, because you have to think about the way your body is working and the way you're breathing in order to work efficiently. So any kind of practice that unifies that stuff, to me, is beneficial and will help combat stress. And I see it happening in a few different ways. Like if you take those 3 sections separately, the breath, the body, and the mind, the breath, that's usually our first noticeable response to stress. Our breath gets shallow or quick.
Good point.
When we're stressed. And so the good thing about that, though, is breath is the first thing that we can also control. Because we can't necessarily control the external things that are making us stressed.
Right.
You can't necessarily quit your job as much as people would like to just be able to say peace and walk out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
No more of this stress.
You need, because that's going to...
I'm just going to train all the time.
Yeah, that's going to cause you a lot more stress if you don't have a paycheck to pay the bills. So you can actually control your breath, and your breath can then control the rest of the body's response to stress. And it's kind of a nice, easy, quick thing that I usually tell people about. And things like yoga and Tai Chi and all that stuff, and meditation practices usually have some component of breathing exercises to it. And so it's kind of a built-in tool.
And that kind of goes along the line of focusing on what you can control versus what you can't control. So if your boss is just a big meanie, a big dick.
You just want me to beep things.
I love the bleep. So let's say your boss is a big meanie.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah. Your boss is a big meanie. You can't really control how nice or not nice your boss is, but you can control your breathing. You can do yoga and you can do meditation.
Yeah.
And you can focus on being present for the important things.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good way to manage stress, is to be present when you're doing the things you love, like hanging out with family, eating lunch even, and just paying attention to what you're doing when you're doing it.
Yeah. So does that mean check out at work?
No, not check out, but honestly, just be appreciative for this cup of coffee or this little break and going on a walk during your break or something, you know?
Yeah.
I think that really adds a level of...
Have you been reading Thich Nhat Hanh?
No.
The Vietnamese Buddhist monk?
No, I haven't.
Oh. You sound just like him right now.
I do?
Yeah.
I'm going to refrain from being really racist.
That's probably a good rule of thumb there.
I'm not racist.
No.
Vietnamese love me.
Oh my gosh. They make the best Vietnamese food.
I'm really trying to not make this political and bring in the Trump jokes and everything.
I'm going to try to bring it out in you.
Oh, that's right. That's what he said too.
Yeah,
they make the best
Hispanics.
food. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
Freaking idiot.
back on track.
Yeah.
So paying attention to what you're doing and being present in the moment is going to help with
It kind of blocks out those external stressors.
I don't want to say it blocks out those external
Well,
stressors, but it puts
but
things
it protects
it puts
you.
things in perspective, I think.
Okay.
So if my boss yells at me for
So-
something that I didn't do,
So let me see if I'm getting this. When you start to pay attention and be more present in the things that you enjoy, you understand the things that you don't enjoy better and think about how, in the long scheme of things, this isn't that important, so I'm not going to let it get to me.
right? This coworker that's always mean he's just mean, you know? Some people are just mean and that's fine.
You let it
But
happen and
Yeah, that
Let it go.
doesn't mean anything about me or how I am as a person, or it doesn't affect how my life is at home or whatever. He's
Yeah.
just a mean guy.
yeah. So if you do find yourself in that situation at work or at school or wherever, definitely consider checking your breath first. That's kind of the easiest, quickest. That's something that you can actually take out of this podcast and do right now.
Yeah, that's something you can control right now.
Yeah. So the main thing to think about is just getting the biggest, fullest breath that you possibly can. And usually, I know I've mentioned it before, but people usually just breathe in the top of their lungs, even though they might not be, they might not realize that they're taking shallow breaths. They just think it's their normal breath.
I got
And
an idea.
It's a lot more shallow than it should be.
Do you want to hear my idea?
That's why I stopped talking. Yeah.
Oh, do you want to lead us in just like three
Oh no.
three breaths, just three? I think no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, if you're listening to a podcast right now, you can afford to take three deep breaths.
But you know what? I think people are having a hard enough time not falling asleep to this.
No way. This is gold.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, this is gold. If you're having a really hard time with something and you're really stressed, the first thing you can focus on is your breath.
Yep.
Take a deep breath. Take 3 deep breaths if you're having a really hard time.
Yeah.
I've had to do that lately here. Not with clients or anything, but just in my daily
With
life.
me?
No.
Okay. You made it sound like it was me.
No. Just getting angry at the TV.
So the next component, as far as I see it, is the body piece. We've got the breath, the body, the mind. In my opinion, we take every aspect and try to do what we can with each aspect to minimize stress. So the breath, we've got the body. When you are stressed, you get tense. And there are ways to combat that as well. And that's usually having some sort of practice like yoga or weight training, something where you tense and release, connect that breath to that tension and that relaxation.
Good point.
And it's been shown to help people with PTS and just overall overtension. If you get pain in your back or your shoulders or your neck, thinking about starting something like yoga is a good idea. Or weight training.
Or weight training.
I don't want to.
Proper weight training.
Yeah. Just that constant. It helps your muscles realize, there's a relaxed state in opposition to the tense state. Because
Right.
we just kind of spend a lot of time in the tense state because we get stressed out and we don't think about releasing. But when you do weight training or postural therapy or yoga, things like that, there's these moments of constriction and then deliberate release. So you actually think about it. And that kind of bleeds into the whole mind part.
I like it a lot.
Good.
So we have the breath, the body.
And the mind. The mind, I see it as more of a preventative exercise. The whole mind piece. It's kind of a hot word right now, mindfulness. Everybody's talking about mindfulness. It's really big in behavioral therapy with inmates and things like that. And it's basically just a way to, what Mike was saying earlier, be present and enjoy the things that you are in front of right now. So as weird as it might be, if you enjoy this podcast, just be present and realize, hey, I'm having a good time. I'm not stressed out right now. I'm just listening to something. Maybe you're in your car. Pay attention to the fields on the side of the I-5 freeway. I don't know.
And the lines. Make sure you pay attention to the lines. Yeah.
But maybe you just see a bird or something. Just appreciate the things that you don't normally give yourself a chance to appreciate, because you're always thinking about where you're going and not where you are. You know what I mean?
Right. And that kind of bleeds into being thankful and practicing thankfulness, I think. Does it? I'm thankful for how pretty this is. Like my drive on in this morning. You become more awesome.
Appreciative, aware and appreciative. Yeah, yes. I could see that. But the whole mindfulness thing, to me, it takes you out of the stressful situation. So previously, before you started thinking about mindfulness and breath and all that stuff, stressful situation would happen. You would react automatically in a stressful way. When you now with the tools that you're kind of picking up with the breath, once you start realizing, okay, I'm in a stressful situation, you can take that breath, and then you start paying attention to your body and realize, oh, I'm tensing up. So then you can just consciously relax whatever's tensing up. But the mind kind of precedes all that. If you work on your mindfulness training, for instance, the cup of coffee that Mike mentioned earlier, Thich Nhat Hanh talks about enjoying an orange or a mandarin or something like that. We typically will eat a slice of the mandarin, and before we finish that first one, we've already shoved the other one in our mouth, and we're not fully enjoying the taste, the smell, the texture of each slice. And so if we train ourselves to do that when we're not in a stressful situation, that'll become the new normal. And when we're in a stressful situation, we can kind of more objectively view the situation and realize, okay, this isn't important. There's going to be a way out. I'll be fine afterwards. Now I need to put into practice breath and the body stuff. You'll be fine. Relax. You'll be cool. Chill out. Jeez. Mike?
So we have the mind, the body, and what was the last one?
Breath.
And that goes in the order. Does the order matter?
Not particularly. It's like a Venn diagram.
Okay.
There's a really good article published. We'll put it in the show notes. The name of the article is Mind Body Skills for Regulating the Autonomic Nervous System. Don't worry, I'll get you the title. You don't have to write that down.
I did not know how to spell those things.
And it was published by the Defense Centers of Excellence for Psychological Health and Traumatic Brain Injury. What they're finding out about de-stressing and the importance of stress on health, and especially with veterans that have been deployed, or victims of abuse or any kind of traumatic situation, they're finding that these kinds of tools, thinking, mindfulness, the body-based practices that link your mind and your breath, and the tension and release kind of stuff, it's been really, really beneficial to people. So actually, why don't we put a link in there for veterans and domestic abuse victims that stress, to put it lightly.
Yeah.
That have PTS.
What about the book you were talking about? You said I sounded like him?
Oh, I think it's called The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh. I think I have it here. Let me check.
We have a bookshelf here that has a slowly growing wealth of knowledge, and we're both pretty excited about it.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing to have on hand for clients and for students.
For continual learning.
Yeah, in our school, we have required reading in order to advance to certain belts, because we want it to be a cerebral thing, not just a physical and emotional thing.
That is awesome.
And maybe I should put this one in the required reading. But the name of the book is The Miracle of Mindfulness, An Introduction to the Practice of Meditation by Thich Nhat Hanh. His last name, H-A-N-H. And
we'll have that in the show notes, too.
Translated by Moby Ho, H-O. and we'll get that out there so you can find it. It's a great book. I highly recommend it.
If anybody out there knows any other good books on mindfulness or meditation
that you just want to share with the rest of the community,
email us, or better yet, tweet us so that
or post on our Facebook.
There you go.
If you know it, put it on there too.
So we've been talking about how both Caleb and I go about managing stress. So now, what I want to ask you, Caleb, is what are the benefits of managing stress?
As I see it,
or let me rephrase that.
Well,
lowering bad stress, distress. There's distress and there's eustress. Did you know that?
I hadn't thought of it, but I know exactly what you mean. Martial arts training is hard and rigorous for a reason.
Yeah.
So the stress that we've been talking about is more about the external non-self implied or self-applied stress.
Distress.
Yeah. The one that I feel is beneficial is when you're exactly with weight training and your boot camps and CrossFit and all that kind of stuff, you intentionally stress out the body to get better results out of it next time you're in a stressful situation. Like you want to tax it, you want to work it into the ground, you want to work that cardio, stress the body physically. And again, that kind of goes into that whole body piece of things where the tension and relaxation can be put into use.
Right.
So your body is better equipped to...
Beneficial stress, eustress.
Yeah. If you need some sort of response to survive, your body will be better equipped for it.
Right. You're more... You having eustress in the form of training, whether it's weight training or martial arts or CrossFit or whatever, or just running, whatever it is, the benefits of eustress set you up better for when distress comes knocking.
Boom.
Scientific.
Take that to the bank. But back to your question. So we got off on kind of a tangent there. What you asked me the
benefits of managing stress.
So I'm kind of weird.
I'll say.
I subscribe to the idea that age, I don't want to say that it can be outright gotten rid of, but I do think that if we managed our stress better and all ate better and had better physical activity, we could easily expand our lifespan. So I'm always thinking about things in terms of longevity. And I think that managing your stress, just like making sure that you floss your teeth, can add years to your life. And it may simply come down to, it may not be the managing stress that gets you to live longer. It could be the managing stress allows you to work out better. And so that working out makes you live longer. You know, it could be one of a million things, but in that background, stress is a big component of it. Kind of like what we were talking about in the beginning with pies. Stress bleeds into every other aspect of your life. And so if you can manage that, you're going to live longer and live healthier. And I think that living longer isn't necessarily the best thing, but if your quality of life can be high, then I think it's definitely worth going for.
I agree. Quality of life is often skipped. It's all about longevity nowadays, but yeah, quality of life.
So I know this is a little bit off topic. Do you think age is a disease that should be cured?
Age? No, I don't.
You feel like we were meant to die and so we should die?
Well, I also think we were meant to born and we should be born. It's part of the same, hey, circle of life, bro.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. You just said it funny and it was cute.
Thanks. So yeah, I think we were meant to die. Especially my enemies.
So you don't think that if we could maintain, like, say you're as healthy as you are now, and you can maintain that for another 100 years, would you?
For 100, so it's definite. So I'd still die.
We're going in increments. Would you take it at 100 years?
100 years, yes.
Okay,
but that's still nothing.
500,
yes.
1,000.
We'll see at 500. I might get to 500 and be like, oh, yeah. I feel like there's a movie about this. Oh, The Hobbit, the last one, The Desolation of Smaug. Smaug.
I haven't seen it, so don't ruin it.
Anyway, there's not
I've
going
read
to
The
ruin
Hobbit.
it.
I've read The Hobbit, so did reading The Hobbit ruin it?
No, they're pretty much two separate things.
Okay.
The movie The Hobbit and the book The Hobbit. Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really mad that Bjorn didn't have a much larger part in the movies. Ugh. Anyway, so the elves, they're immortal. they're immortal, right?
Oh.
Yeah, the elves are immortal. And
are they immortal or are they just super long lifespan?
I think they are.
Because I thought they die, but they,
Either way, there's a little thing in there where one of the elves falls for one of the hobbits. Anyway,
as will happen.
Hobbits
are pretty cute.
Or just like in Lord of the Rings, Aragorn and what's her name, Arwen.
Arwen, yeah. Are you kidding me?
So she was getting lectured by her dad. Her dad was saying, "Well, he's gonna die.
Oh yeah,
and you're still gonna be here, and it's gonna suck."
I remember that.
So I don't want to go through that, or like recover from that, and then my wife dies, and I'm still 30 years old or a 30-year-old body, and then go through that again and again and again. Screw that.
Why would only you be getting the benefit? Why wouldn't your wife?
Ooh.
Like what I'm presupposing is that everybody is able to do this. It's not limited. Like, we chose you, Mike. Yeah. You're
all this responsibility of living 500 years and doing whatever I want.
Yeah.
No.
You showed great promise and skill.
I got good grades in high school.
Yeah.
I got like a 2.2. So, in that case, would we all still be reproducing at the same rate? Because then that would be a really big problem really quick.
Well, I would imagine if we are able to live like that, we would have found solutions to things like this destruction of our ecosystem or planet hopping,
Yeah. If we can figure out warp speed, then I would live 500 years.
That's your caveat?
Yeah.
Like,
we have to we already have the iPads. Now we just have to have the spaceships and light speed, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that light speed and warp speed are different. We got so off topic. Are we going to keep this?
I don't know, man.
I don't know either. Let's try it. I mean, it can't hurt.
Yeah. Well, it could.
It could. Sorry. So would you do it? Would you live 500 years?
In a heartbeat.
Yeah?
I don't want to die, man.
Well, me neither.
And I know that I come from a religious background, and everybody says, why wouldn't you want to die and go to heaven? Where everything's supposed to be super awesome, but eternal. And once you go there, you can't come back here. It's a one-way valve. Man, I wish I could have an In-N-Out burger up here.
Yeah. Oh, these streets of gold and paradise.
Yeah, that's great.
It's cool and all, but man, those
good barbecue.
Trans fats.
No, but as a good Christian, you're supposed to want to see the glory more than be here on earth. But I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
And I suppose my opinion might change if my circumstances were different.
Right. If you lost all mobility or freedom.
Yeah, if my quality of life was bad, or, and that could mean if I was homeless, or, if we had a nuclear holocaust and it's like the McCarthy, the road.
Oh, man. Yeah. That's a rough one. If you haven't read McCarthy's The Road, then we'll have that in show notes.
Wow, we're going to have some really weird, widespread show notes.
I'm okay with that. This podcast
it's a good snapshot.
It's kind of experimental, but it really is a good snapshot into what Caleb and I are into outside of training in martial arts.
And I wouldn't say that this is totally off topic, the whole longevity stuff with
it's
stress.
Really not.
And
what, are you using any technology tools or ingesting any
Stop
media?
reading.
Okay, you do it.
So, Mike, you got anything new that you're using to help you achieve a stress-free life?
Yes.
Like what?
I'm reading a book called The Power of Habit.
Is it that one that you put on the table?
Yes, by Charles Duhigg.
That sounded really nice.
Thanks, Duhigg. I can't repeat that. So, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. it's about habit, and it's written
And the
really
power
well,
of it.
and the power of it. So I just started reading it day before yesterday, and it's really great writing. And I feel like I could read about anything if it has great writing.
I've noticed your taste in books is very interesting.
Thanks.
I mean that as a compliment. It doesn't sound like a compliment, but
I think it does.
I have a hard time reading books, the type of books that you read. But when I have done that in the past, I've always gotten something out of them, and they've been very helpful. But I just...
And then it's back to Hardy Boys.
Yeah. They're just not the type of books that I would go to.
Right.
To read a book. Usually when I'm reading a book, it's because I want to get out of my head.
Right.
And get out of this world.
So fiction.
Yeah, to put it generally.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you like to read?
Though, you know.
No, you like what?
I like sci-fi.
What's an author that you're really digging?
Isaac Asimov. He's kind of a go-to staple for sci-fi. Right now I'm reading Nemesis, which is a book about some people that left Earth.
Oh.
They find this kind of hidden star planet system that we didn't know about. And they decide to essentially inhabit it without telling the rest of Earth.
Rude.
Even though they're supposed to be, on our side.
Uh-huh.
And it turns out this whole system that they're kind of pirating might possibly careen into Earth. And so there's this debate on whether or not they should warn Earth. Like if there's anything that can be done. This is a truly oversimplification of the book.
But it sounds like they're kind of... I like sci-fi because they tackle the big questions
Yeah.
that we're going to
Like
have
moral,
to come up with.
Yeah, yeah.
Like moral implications of AI.
Yeah.
That's one that you and I discuss outside of podcasting and that we're both interested in.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Kevin J. Anderson?
No.
Well, he writes a lot of fiction, sci-fi, or did. I don't know if he does anymore.
Like, what's a title or a series that I would...
He wrote my favorite short story called Therefore I Am, the story of IG-88, the bounty hunter from Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard of that. And maybe from you.
I think
a long time
I
ago.
printed it off here one time
Yeah.
and just left it in here because it's so good. It's like
and
70 pages
There's
long.
a passage you specifically had me read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gripping. It's pretty powerful.
You might like the actual iRobot
I think I would.
book from Asimov.
Okay.
Nothing like the Will Smith movie,
Oh.
which is a good thing in my opinion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, that was good, but
But again, nothing like the book.
nothing.
It seems like the movie...
It's different, way different.
Movies made from books are always vastly different. I mean, how could they possibly be close? It's a different medium,
Yeah.
a different large.
A what?
Medium, large, small.
Oh my gosh.
I think we're done.
Yeah, okay, folks. Thanks for listening to Modern Era Fitness Podcast. Once again, you can reach us
On Twitter at MEF Podcast or on Instagram at MEF Podcast, or give us an email, Modern Era Fitness Podcast at gmail.com, or find us on Facebook.
Yeah, and please give us a review, share us.
Thanks for listening, guys. Live in a good place, keep your mind deep, and work when it's time.
See ya.
Peace. Ben Stiller, 10.